What's up, y'all? It's your man Ernest, or you love Ernest. I'm just trolling at this point. What's up, y'all? It's your man Ernest, or you love Ernest. Back again with another episode of the Ernest Dots podcast. If I'm speaking too slow for you, stop listening. I mean, I'm not going to increase my speed. I'm not going to take speed. I don't drink coffee. It is what it is. Anyways, here to talk about this first topic here. I'm going to talk about Dexter Taylor, um, and not the athlete Dexter Taylor, not some professor named Dexter Taylor. There's a lot of Dexter Taylors out there, but I'm talking about a citizen of, the United States, a New York native, a black man, Dexter Taylor, who was recently sentenced to 20 years in prison. I saw certain publications said a decade, certain publications said 18 years, which fits into that decade. I saw 18 to 20 years, but let's just say over a decade. Let's just put it that way. Simply because he is a hobbyist, a gun hobbyist. Now, what Dexter Taylor does as a gun hobbyist is he collects gun parts and he creates guns himself. Now, he doesn't have a gun license. He doesn't have any gun license, but he doesn't intend on using or distributing the firearms that he builds. I have this news report that I will leave in the description box below. I'll also leave a link to his there's a donation link that he has up, and if you want to donate to him, his legal funds, you can do so. From what I've looked on the link, he's asking for about $400,000. He's already raised over a half of that. So if we can continue to get him over the hump, that will be great. Once again, both links will be left in the description box below. The link of the article that I'm going to reference, and also, again, his donation link. If I didn't say that fast enough for you, it's too bad. Anyways, um, I'm not going to read the entire article. I'm just going to read the parts where I feel as though is the most important parts of this article. So, according to the evidence presented during the trial, Taylor spent about $40,000 to get the ghost gun parts and tools. Ghost guns, what they mean by that pretty much is um, a gun that's not already assembled. Again, he's ordering parts so he can assemble them himself. Um, this is a quote from the New York City official. There was something I wanted to read before that part. My bad. Um, so yeah, pretty much the beginning. That's why you start from the start, right? A Brooklyn man was sentenced to 10 years in prison after he was found to have an arsenal of more than a dozen ghost guns inside his apartment, according to the district attorney. Dexter Taylor was sentenced to spend a decade in prison on Monday after being convicted by a jury in April on a slew of firearm-related charges. Brooklyn DA Eric Gonzalez said that the 53-year-old Taylor had ordered a number of ghost gun kits and parts from different online retailers and had them shipped to his home on Eldert Street in Bushwick. That's in New York, by the way. During a search of his apartment in April 2022, officers found 4 AR-15 style assault weapons, 5 handguns, not 500, but 5 handguns, 4 rifles, and more than 50 rounds of ammo in an unlocked safe and a closet. It should be in a closet, not and a closet. they they said we're gonna get you on the guns and having a closet in your apartment. That's crazy. But no, it should be in a closet. not and a closet. It's written here. You can see for yourself in the article. All right. Gunpowder shell casings, triggers, a 3D printer, and other parts used to build guns were also uncovered during the search, the DA said. And then it goes on to what I was saying before. And then I'm gonna end it there because I'm not gonna read the stupid ass statement. That's that. You want to read the rest of the article? Once again, check the description box below. All right. Um, so I'm just here to honestly spread awareness about what is going on, especially to the other two-way advocates out there, Second Amendment advocates out there. This is a situation that definitely deserves some backing, and a lot of the more prominent ones, like the NRA, they're not backing this, or at least from what I've seen, they're not backing this. Now, I'm not one to wait around for a big celebrity or a big organization or just a big entity in general to come and support a cause for me to then support said cause. That's not how I roll. But um, I am of the mindset of calling out these folks, especially. And I wonder if Dexter Taylor was a white man, would it be different for these situations? And I'm saying I'm wondering, I'm not saying I know. So anybody like, he could have been raped into it, shut the hell up. Shut up. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying I wonder. It's a thought in my mind, and I'm not going to. This is the Earnest Thoughts podcast, after all, right? So I'm sharing my thoughts. So, with that being said, it's a wonder in my mind if Dexter Taylor was a white man. Let's keep the age, let's keep the location, New York, and I have a lot to say about New York. I don't really like New York. Um, as a whole wide everything. But no, I don't like New York. I definitely don't like the politics. I think New York politics is Boston politics on steroids. And I don't like it here in Boston, but I really, 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 if I had to compare the two political, even though it's the same, it's liberal ideology, but at least in Massachusetts, it's maybe because we have a lot more. This is more so of a purple state rather than a blue state. And New York is straight up blue. But yeah, nah, I don't like New York politics, and I believe the politics and a lot of things regarding that um is plays a big role into why Dexter Taylor is in the situation that he's in now. Um, but as I was stating before, um, I do wonder if Dexter Taylor was white, would this be an issue too? Because New York is still going to infringe on his rights to have a fucking hobby. Like they're just gonna, that's New York for you. You know what I'm saying? Dystopian ass New York. They're gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not bringing up race in the sense that they wouldn't have broke his, they wouldn't have arrested him if he wasn't black. No, in New York, they would have gotten him if he was white, if he was black. Now, if he was an immigrant, that would be different. If he was an immigrant, that'd be different. They catering to them over there. You know what I'm saying? Here in Boston as well, but definitely in New York. You know what I'm saying? If he was doing all of that as an immigrant, I think they looked at the different way. They wouldn't even look that way. They wouldn't even mention it. But if he was a citizen, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, in New York, yeah, he's getting got. But when I bring up race, I'm talking about it. I'm asking the NRAs of the world, the other gun, the other advocates of gun ownership, right? Whether it be legal gun ownership, of course, but just citizens practicing their Second Amendment right. Now, Second Amendment is your right to bear arms. Now, you can use that for self-defense, or you can be like Dexter Taylor and just simply collect guns because it's your right to do so. I understand he's not licensed to collect guns, but not every firearm you can own, you need a gun license for. In fact, there are certain states that are saying even lethal firearms, and I believe North Carolina is trying to implement this if they already have it. One, I already know it's open carry because when I was living out there, that's how I was living. That's number one. But when I was out there, it was still, you still needed a license to carry lethal firearms. Now, when I say that not every single firearm needs to have a license, there are non-lethal firearms, such as they call them launchers, but it's pretty much a gun. It's not like a full-on rocket launcher. No, first of all, if you're not of the military, you just an everyday citizen and you have that, the police come knocking at your door, whether it's New York or North Carolina or Massachusetts. I'm gonna be like, why you got that? Like, if you collecting it and there's no like rockets in it, then it's like I can understand why the police come knocking at your door. You know what I'm saying? Like I can if there are rockets in, let me put it that way. I can understand why the police will come knocking at your door. You know, it's just what it is. You know, I don't like the cops, like I said, but that's a situation where you're not going to see me say, fuck the police. No, I'm going to be like, hey, it's, if I was a cop, I'd be knocking at your door. That's all I'm going to say. Thankfully, I'm not a cop, but if I was a cop and you had a full on rocket launcher, I'd come knocking at your door too, not unarmed either. So, with that being said, like I understand there are limitations and stuff, and some of the stuff that Dexter has, I'm not gonna lie and say that that is pretty extreme. But again, we have to weigh it intent versus just a lot of other things, and that's what New York is not doing here. If the man does not intend on selling, he does not intend on using these weapons. He simply just wants to build them because that's his hobby. I don't see why we should stop him. We as a nation in general should stop him or anybody for saying, I like to build these things. And that's what it is. You might not consider that a hobby that you take part in. Okay. You might look at that and be like, that is quite an odd hobby to have, is to build guns and not use said guns. Okay. I'm pretty sure you have hobbies or interests in general that I, Dexter Taylor, or others might not partake in and might think are pretty weird. Does that mean you should serve at least 10 years in prison? Well, if it's law breaking, of course, like diddling kids, if that's your hobby, and I clearly don't share that hobby with you, and I think that's weird and wrong, but you consider that a hobby and you're like, you're infringing on my rights to have a hobby. No, no, no. That's not it. It's not it. Now, if you're drawing kids, if your hobby is like you'd like to draw kids, pictures of kids, paint pictures of kids, someone is going to be like, why just kids? Someone might ask you, how come you can draw trees, mountains, buildings, cars, but you decide to just paint pictures of kids? Why? Someone might question that and think that is weird. But that, to me, you should not have your door kicked down by SWAT, the police, whoever, because you like painting kids. All right. Again, intent versus just a lot of other things. And now I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the law, this, that, and the third, but I do know common sense. I'm very, very familiar with common sense. Uh, and New York has had a history of infringing on American rights. I might make that an episode. This episode is already going to be long enough. I'm going to tell you right now, because we're going to talk about a New York native, P. Diddy, and his long history of just terrorism. That's what I, call it. And it's not going to be in this topic, obviously, but it's going to be the very last topic of this. So stay tuned. If you listen to the audio, obviously stay tuned and subscribe and make sure you check that out. Put the notifications on as well, because when that video comes out for the YouTube watchers out there, yeah. But anyways, I don't like what's going on with this man, and it's unfortunate. Um, because again, if the man doesn't intend on, and like I said, a lot of this stuff, I'm not gonna sit here because I'm a big 2A advocate at myself, but I'm not gonna sit here as a 2A advocate and say a lot of that stuff doesn't seem sus. I'm gonna keep it a bug, especially with the bullets. If my thing is, if you don't intend on selling or using them, don't have bullets. I understand maybe it's an authenticity thing. Like he wants to build these guns, put the bullets in these guns, but not use them, not sell them, and just say, look, I have this real gun that I built. Everything about it is real, from the triggers, from the scopes, from the barrels, the bullets, all of that. If that is his way of thinking, again, that is his way of thinking, and we have to go based off of intent. I mean, lie detectors are there for a reason. If a lie detector and all these other tests that test a person's psychological, their mental state, if we have these things in place, why not use these things to decide whether somebody truly is intending on using whatever these things. In this situation, we're talking about guns. Let's decide whether they truly have these things to harm folks, or to use these things to because again, to not harm folks, to not use them in ways that they can be used to harm or to garner any type of financial thing, like selling them illegally on the streets and stuff. um like, we have tests to test these things, man. And I think that I just think that the lack of use, if that's the case, the lack of use of this is because New York wants to continue to infringe on the rights of its citizens. You know, this is pretty much a multi-fold, I guess. If it's not twofold, it's multifold topic, because one, again, I want to spread awareness to people who might not know about this situation. And if you feel strongly, even if you don't feel strongly about guns, and this is a man, a citizen who has no criminal background. Dexter Taylor has no criminal background whatsoever. He is actually, y'all want to talk about the most perfect, pristine person, right? To back in, oh, I didn't defend this person because they got suspended in third grade for fighting, or they got suspended in middle school for stealing a pencil. They was caught, with weed in their hand as a 17-year-old in school, and they got kicked out of school for a week. Okay, you don't want to defend somebody because they have blemishes, like we all have blemishes in our past. This man is a Harvard educated graduate man. Harvard, people. So again, no criminal background, went to Harvard, graduated and everything. I think he has a field in like something within the field of science and chemistry, or something to that nature. If you know of it, of his degree, please let me know. I'll try to leave it in the comment section below, for the YouTube watchers out there. Once I find out, but this man is what one would consider the perfect person to defend. No criminal background, no blemishes on his record, educated at a very prestigious university, and yet this is the charge he gets: 10 years, at least 10 years, for having a hobby. He just so happens to have a hobby, and just so happens to unfortunately live in a state like New York that is very anti-gun when it comes to the citizens, but not the police, and very, very anti its citizens in general, infringing on the rights of citizens. you know that's one of the many issues that I've had with New York. And again, like I said, I don't like the state, I don't like the place at all. um it's somewhere where I would go to visit, and I have gone to visit. They have some places to eat down there that's pretty cool, but all that allure and the beauty of it and stuff, it's not enough for me to say, listen. this is a place that I would enjoy. You know, um, a lot of changes as far as the politics and how things are ran down there would have to change for me to change my perception of New York. And again, in a future episode, I will do a long history. I will do research and everything about the long history of New York just infringing on the rights of citizens, because I think that's definitely something that a lot of folks need to know. They might try to get the channel taken down or that video taken down on YouTube or whatever. I don't give a damn. I save everything. I will post it on my Patreon. By the way, the Patreon is back up, or at least recreated. So again, there are certain topics that I do discuss on there that I will not discuss here, simply because I know how to play the game and I know what will happen or will be the likely outcome if I were to talk about certain things on YouTube and stuff. I already know what's going to happen. So instead of taking that risk, it's going to be posted on Patreon. I do have um a couple videos for there's two tiers, the My Two Cents podcast tier and the tier for this podcast, the Earnest Thoughts podcast. And I do have one video planned for the Earnest Thoughts podcast so far. um each tier is just $5, so literally just pay that $5 um for that content, and whoop de diddy dot do. You know what I'm saying? You got it. So, you know what I'm saying? Just had to let y'all know, doing the whole creator thing, self promotion in the middle of the video. But back to this topic at hand, as I've stated before, um, what's happening to Dexter Taylor is, for lack of better wording, fucked up. All right. I think I've gone the video long enough to not curse, to be able to get away with cursing, but it's messed up. Again, if you're not a big two-way guy, you don't even have to like guns. A man's its rights are being infringed upon. And again, this is not someone who intended on selling the guns. This is not someone who intended on using the guns. This is somebody who just wants to build the guns because that's a hobby of his. It's kind of like if someone were to order a bunch of car parts, right? They don't intend on, sure, they might not have a driver's license, but they don't intend on driving a car. You know what I'm saying? And they probably don't want to sell it, but they just want to be able to tell people, or just to tell themselves, I built this car. Why are we stomping on people's talent, not only just their talents, but their ability to build things, and their hobbies in general, and their joy, overall joy, the most important thing out of all the things I named, just be honest with you, their overall joy. These are the things that bring them joy. Pretty sure building guns is what he loves to do, and it brings him joy. And we just going and we meaning in the United States, because it's allowing this shit to happen, but we just gonna stomp on the dude simply because we live in a dystopian state. If your state is New York, yikes. Anyways, definitely praying for the brother though. Definitely praying that things get better for him. I'm definitely praying that his lawyers continue to fight, and then people continue to fight, and especially out there in New York, I want y'all to let your voices be heard, especially during election time. Especially during election time, let your voice be heard, that you will not stand for this situation like this. Now, if you one of these individuals who don't care, you're one of these individuals who doesn't care simply because he's a black man, I ain't talking to you. But if you truly, truly care about the Second Amendment, you truly care about Americans' rights, whether you yourself are a practitioner of the Second Amendment or not, whether you like guns or not, again, all the things, and I've said this in the past, and I'll say it here again, especially to the folks who don't like guns. You think it's okay, and this is what's going on in New York right now, and just a lot of liberal cities and states in general. You think it's okay for other citizens to have their rights stamped upon, just just disregarded at a very alarming rate and disregarded in general. What you're telling your state is that they can do the same to you. We've seen it before. We've seen it outside of the US. We've seen it within the United States as well. And yet people still don't seem to understand how dangerous it is to be gawk in the state when they do this stuff simply because of your political ideology is telling you to be anti-gun or anti-abortion or um anti-happy. Man. Anyways, we're gonna get into the next topic. Stay tuned.